For the first part of the process, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take an Allen wrench or a hex wrench. This right here, it says it's 5 millimeters. So I'm gonna take off the side plate that's right here. Next thing I wanna do is I actually wanna come in here and I wanna just pull this. This is the O2 sensor. I'm gonna unplug it from this piece. You gotta push a little tab under here, pull it, and it should slide. Should be able to slide right out. Before we go and do the O2 sensor, what I want to do is I just want to basically make sure I take it, and I'm going to actually take this whole piece off right here, follow it down. I'm going to just unhook the clamps, so that way there's one here, there's another one right through here, and then so that way I can actually take this off without actually having to twist and bind anything up. Next step, I'm going to actually go ahead and remove the O2 sensor. Normally I would use a 17 millimeter wrench. I don't have one, so I'm just going to use an adjustable one to fit it on here. And this cord doesn't get twisted up. I can just unscrew it and take it right off and don't have to worry about damaging anything. So what I want to be able to do is access a bolt that is behind here. So I'm going to actually remove these two bolts. That's actually going to be a 6 millimeter Allen wrench. There we go. Now it's loose, and what I want to do so it doesn't swing down and actually hit the new exhaust, I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap this in something, and I'm going to find a way to tie it up and just leave it up out of the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually take this bolt right here. This is a 12 meter. It's going to go in there. I'm going to just loosen that, but I'm not going to take that out. Now as we come around to the other side of the bike, there's another bolt that is actually holding the stock exhaust on. Now it's going to be tough to see, but it's right there. So you can use a 12 millimeter socket, just get in there and then loosen that up as well. We're actually going to go ahead, not just loosen, we're going to take this one out. So now we actually want to get in and loosen up the header bolts that are holding the header on, and it's going to be tough to kind of see these in here. Basically, you're going to use a 12 millimeter socket with that, and if you have something that's actually an adjustable piece on the socket, that's going to make life a whole lot easier with everything. Now I'm going to come back to the front bolts on the headers. I'm going to go ahead and actually take those off. I'm going to come in and now I'm going to remove this bolt. So I want to just catch it, make sure it doesn't actually drop down. When I took that off, I also noticed that the gaskets were still in there. So I'm actually going to take out the gaskets. I ordered 2 new ones, so I'm going to use the new ones for this as well. Once everything is taken off, you go ahead, you're going to want to remove this piece. This is going to take a 10 millimeter socket to take this piece off. Now we'll kind of take everything out. The interesting thing about this is I've already gone ahead and taken this out, and this, being as cheap as it was packaged absolutely terribly. So there were pieces in here floating around. I thought I was missing some pieces. I wasn't, because you have the bag with some of the springs. We've got a couple other pieces in here. Now this was the actual box that the can came in. This came wide open, came crushed with all of it. The actual silencer itself looks to be okay, but the box was a mess. Now this is basically the clamp that's going to go on around this. The rubber piece had come, I had to attach that. What's interesting about it is I expected it to be silver or to be at least some sort of chrome in color, and it's not. It's white, and the quality of it is obviously for less than 200 bucks is not great. I don't know if you can see some of that, but the welds in here are just, these are kind of cheesy. It's just gonna flake off like it already is flaking off. It almost looks like they actually took some white out over some of the welds on this. For now, we're gonna run with it and see what it actually does. So here's the actual pipes. Welds look pretty good. And some of the stuff could be a little bit cleaned up in here, but for less than 200 bucks, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. As I mentioned, I bought extra gaskets for the headers. I just went on Amazon and gonna install those along with the new pipe. Just like I thought, this actually wasn't staying in there. So I'm gonna just take a teeny bit of anti-seize here and hopefully that holds it in place. So now, at least have them in there. I have one nut holding it on. I'm gonna put a couple of the other nuts on just to hold it in place and then put everything else together. We got this L bracket, the rubber grommet, that's gonna wanna go in here. Package comes with this little brass gold piece. Sometimes you'll see people take it, they're not sure what to do with it, throw it out. This, you're actually gonna place through the rubber grommet here. This is what the clamp from the actual silencer muffler is actually gonna bolt into. Now we're gonna actually take the L brackets and we're gonna attach this on the back side. It's actually a little bit of a pain in the butt. Make sure you have an Allen wrench. You need a smaller one. I'm stuck with this, so it's gonna take a lot longer because it's gonna be pretty tight. Take the bolts, install the bolts from the back side of this, try to slide through the actual frame, washer, and then the nut. So now I'm gonna take the actual silencer out itself. It's actually pretty good. It looks pretty nice. You see the DB killer in there. That's gonna be the bolt to take that out. I'm gonna put some copper gasket sealer in here so that way there's no leaks, and just put it in here, lines all of this up as well. I was sent these springs, but I actually was set 2 more sets of springs. They're much bigger than these, but I'm betting the smaller ones are gonna be the ones that we're gonna actually wanna use. If you look, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, this is kind of like a fake chrome. This was painted white. So again, it's not gonna make much of a difference unless you're looking real close. Slide this guy right on here. Okay. There's also springs. We want to take these springs, we want to attach them to one on the top, one on the bottom. I actually going to take the smaller ones because those are the ones that are tightest. I'm going to try and put that in there because it actually comes with a spring puller. It's going to be this. What I'd say is put the bottom one on first. It's a little tighter. Top one is going to be loose, but at least if it's on top here, it's not going to really go anywhere. Now take the biggest bolt that's there. We have the big one, put the washer on the outside, because then we're going to have to squeeze this, hold this, and try and get everything in there to get it on just the right way. It was a pain in the neck getting on the inside of this L bracket. Use the big washer here. They gave me washers, other washers to go on the inside. They're really small, but it makes sense now that that brass gold piece that was in here on the other side actually works really well. That's because that kind of acts as a little washer on the inside of that rubber grommet. So we'll test everything else. We're not going to tighten this all the way. Come up, tighten the headers a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do is just come back and I'm going to tighten this down, make sure everything is good on here. And before I actually turn it on, I put the O2 sensor on. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a little anti-seize on here. Anti-seize is on there. Just going to put this in, tighten this back up. The O2 sensor is in. I put in all the clamps, hook them all the way up, and I'm just followed up, put everything in, plug the O2 sensor back in. I'm gonna put some of this on, wipe down the pipes before I actually turn it on. So I'm just gonna check it for some leaks now. So I'm gonna check by the headers. I'm gonna just use my hand first to see how everything goes. Definitely sounds a lot better. There's no leaks, so we should be good to go. Now I'll just unhook the rear set, take the cloth off, put the bolts back in, start her up. Now just put the side panel back on. Everything is complete. It's bolted on, it's tightened up, it looks pretty good.